come to that time in our service of our meditation. And we've had wonderful lead-ins to our meditation this morning. First of all, our daily word, divine order supports my life. What a beautiful affirmation to take into our time of meditation. And our thoughts are prayers. So let's settle in as we begin our prayer. Just settle back into your chairs. Take everything off your lap. Close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. Feel the chair beneath you, supporting you, allowing you to relax totally into a comfortable position. Feel any tension draining from your body. From the top of your head, down your arms to the ends of your fingers, down your body to your hips, and all the way down your legs to the tip of your toes. Fully relaxed. Fully relaxed. Peace. Be still. Peace is ours. Peace that passeth understanding. In the quiet resonance of this peaceful moment, we can enter our heart space, the inner sanctum, the holy of holies, where we encounter our divine source. Here in this radiant and beautiful space, we feel ourselves expand into the infinite, expressing what we truly are, God at this point in time and space. Feel the stretch as your soul relaxes into this limitless beingness. In this moment, all the monkey chatter is still, and we become the observers in the one chair, observing above the drama and chaos our senses would have us believe is the truth of our being. We know better than that, don't we? In our heart of hearts, in the home of the divine within us, we believe that we are one with God and with each other. Although sometimes our senses, our common sense, may try to convince us otherwise, may tell us that the spiritual realm is a myth of wishful thinking. We know in the depths of our soul what the truth really is. God is, we are, and all is well. Think now of some of those moments when you doubted the reality of the spiritual, when your head was convinced it was all an illusion. See yourself in those moments, frightened and confused child. Now gently reach out to that scared little one and whisper to them, "Oh, come on now. You know that isn't true. You know you are a child of the infinite. You've just forgotten in the moment. You are limitless in all things. Especially you are limitless in your belief, in your faith. Grasp hold now of the power within you. Reach for the power of faith, the power to believe with conviction. This power is always working within you. You need to choose how it will work, what it will believe. We choose now to pass over to a new life of belief. We choose now. We choose the truth. Feel that truth spread its wings within you, radiating from you in the sun. In the silence, we have just passed over to a new experience of what we truly are. Infinite spiritual beings full of power. In our most human moments, we now know we can remind ourselves of this power and sustain our faith to believe in what is the highest truth we know. As we use this power, we grow and evolve, ever expressing more of the Christ within, manifesting and changing ourselves and the world around us. We're so grateful for this evolution of ourselves, our communities, the whole human race. As we return to this place in time, we carry the awareness of this power with us, knowing we can tap into it whenever the need arises, ready to fully express the truth of our being. So it is.
Our words are prayer. We are always praying. Our words are prayers. Listen to what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of mindfulness. Know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer.
fully understood. My perfect world out there had disappeared for good. But in its place I feel a truer life begin. And it's so good and real, it must come from within. And I never thought I'd leave behind my childhood dreams, but I don't mind. I'm where and who I want to be. No change of heart, a change in me. No change of heart, a change in me. Isn't that a great song?
Yep.
It's from the Disney movie Beauty and the Beast, a story of great change, both within and without. And we all know that any change we see without in our outer world begins within, in our inner world. In fact, isn't that what we've been working on for the past several weeks? In this season of Lent, as we head toward our Easter experience, we've been preparing ourselves through the process of discernment. I'll back off that. We've been examining where we are in our lives, where we've been, and where we want to go. Discernment, deep examination and knowing. Because to get somewhere new, you not only have to know where the somewhere new is, but what your starting point is. A point in space, 6 coordinates, no, 7, because you have to know your starting point. But how do we do that? How do we figure out where we're starting, much less where we're headed? Is there any kind of guidebook that can lead us in the right direction? Heaven knows we have enough noise around us these days and advice from all corners. How do we sort it all out? Well, as you might know, we've recently started a course on metaphysical Bible interpretation. And it's bringing me back to the beauties of seeking the deeper meaning behind any information presented to me. So, in this season of Lent and Easter, it occurred to me to seek a deeper meaning behind the approaching holiday. And where better to go for information on the origin of a religious holiday than the Bible, which is the source of so much information on which we base the holiday. In fact, if we go back to the deepest pre-Christian roots of Easter, it has its origin in the Jewish feast of Passover. So why not take a deeper look at the metaphysical significance of Passover to see if we can find some wisdom about change and moving through it and beyond. So that's what today's talk is about. Finding guidance in the ancient metaphysical wisdom of Passover to guide us through the earth-shattering changes many of us are encountering today. Pandemic, war, so much to find our way through. First, a little history about Passover. This information was found at the site www.theholidayspot.com. The internet, you can find anything. The origin of Passover relates back to over 3,000 years ago, when Jacob, a Hebrew, came to Egypt along with his 12 sons. Canaan, the land where they dwelt, was struck by a severe famine. Jacob pleaded with the Pharaoh to allow them to live in Egypt. The then kindly Pharaoh granted them the permission and allowed them to live in the land of Goshen, the eastern part of the Nile Delta in Egypt. Jacob and his sons went there and started to live in peace. But over time, the relationship between the Hebrews and the Pharaoh started to deteriorate. And the Hebrews found themselves in slavery to the Egyptians. Now, a founding child of the Hebrews, Moses, was imparted supernatural powers by Jehovah and commanded to be a deliverer of the Hebrews. By God's orders, Moses returned to Egypt with his elder brother Aaron and approached Pharaoh Ramses II, son of the previous Pharaoh. Moses delivered to Pharaoh God's demand that the Israelite slaves, the Hebrews, be allowed to leave Egypt for 3 days for the purpose of observing a holiday of worship and prayer in the wilderness for Jehovah, the Lord God of Israel. But Pharaoh refused. And when he did, Moses and Aaron went away to return again the following morning. They showed Pharaoh a miraculous sign of warning. Aaron's staff turned into a serpent. The Pharaoh, however, remained unimpressed. Oh well. He refused to read the signs. His refusal brought to the land of Egypt the famous 10 plagues, an account of which is found in chapters 7 through 12 of the book of Exodus in the Bible. By God's commands and with his assistance, Moses inflicted the plagues to force the Pharaoh to release the Jews from slavery. The plagues wreaked havoc on the Egyptian households, but the Israelites were unharmed every time. The 10th and last plague was the deadliest of all. It resulted in the death of the firstborn of every Egyptian family, including that of the Pharaoh. But under instruction from Moses, the Israelites marked the doorposts of their dwellings with the blood of a spring lamb, so that God could identify them easily and spare their families and pass over their houses. Thus, the festival of Passover commemorates the sparing of Jewish lives. Okay, so much for the history recorded in the Bible. But what does that mean for us, trying to find our way through the complexities of the 21st century? How do we create a personal Passover for ourselves? For that, let's take a look at another reference book we frequently use in Unity, the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, originally compiled by Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore. Charles was an innovative thinker in metaphysics, and he gathered insight into deeper meanings by examining all the latest scientific and educational discoveries of his time. In the entry under Passover, he shares a number of ideas about the meaning of the holiday for the original Jewish celebrants and for us today. First of all, he refers directly to the meaning of the word Passover, passing over an obstruction. Wow. Isn't that what we're all seeking to do? Get past an obstacle, overcome an obstruction, physical, mental, or emotional. Charles then refers to the way Jesus used the story to represent the freeing of the spiritual person from the dominion of sense consciousness. Now, what on earth did he mean by that? Well, to figure that out, let's review what we call the realms model of the composition of the universe. Greg, can we have that slide, please? There it is. As you can see, the universe consists of several levels that we can all become aware of. Underlying all of the universe is the absolute realm, the infinite field of potential and possibility. We have a number of names for that: Christ, spirit, substance, principle. It is infinite, it is independent of circumstances, it is unchanging. Contained within that realm is the relative realm. Which is changeable and dependent on circumstances. The very smallest part of this universe, which is what we experience through our senses, is the physical portion of this universe. How many of you have ever been given misinformation by your senses? Oh yeah, okay. When that happens, you believe what your senses falsely tell you. You become a victim of your senses. They have dominion over you. Especially if you believe what you detect through your senses is all there is. So what Charles describes here is a very important kind of Passover, that of moving our understanding, our consciousness, from the limits of the relative realm to the limitlessness of the absolute realm. It is when we begin to understand that behind everything we observe with our senses, that it is a world of perfect form and pattern seeking to express through us into the physical. In the absolute realm is a perfect image of us that we're seeking to bring into manifestation. The relative realm now is described in the story of Passover as Egypt, from which the Israelites, our higher consciousness, is seeking to escape. This process includes physical changes, sometimes as expressed as dis-ease, mental changes, sometimes expressed as anxiety or depression, and spiritual changes, which can sometimes be expressed as rising to a level of higher consciousness. Thus, the biblical story is paralleled in changes we see in our lives every day as we're passing from one place to the next. And it provides a roadmap for how to move through those changes. The plagues can represent the various ills we endure in our physical bodies. As Charles says in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, in every change of consciousness on the physical plane, there is a breaking down of cells and a building up of other cells to take their place. Mentally, this is denial and affirmation. And this process in the body is the result of those two movements in the mind, from within, so without. We let go the animal or sense-dominated life and take hold of the spiritual life by giving up consciously to this passing over process. Consciously, it's important. The last of the plagues sent to the Egyptians is the death of their firstborn sons. These sons represent the highest ideas we can entertain when we are in the thrall of sense consciousness. So inherently, they're limited. They aren't bad, they're just limited by their reliance on the senses. So these ideas have to die so that the thoughts associated with a higher consciousness, a limitless type of thought, can be released from bondage and set free to fully express. And how did the Israelites demonstrate that their firstborn sons were not like the Egyptians? They slaughtered lambs, symbolic of the physical realm, and painted their blood on the doorways of their homes, representing the open doors of their minds and hearts. They showed that they were open to newer, higher ideas, and thus were set free to leave Egypt, the land of their slavery senses. Wow, do you ever think there was that much in that old Bible story? A lot more. There's more, so much more. If we simply look into the metaphysical meaning of the words. So what's the lesson for us on how to move forward in our lives? If we want to be free from our old sense-oriented belief systems, or BS, we can use a process like denials and affirmations to release them. We deny the power of our old beliefs to rule us. They have no power over us. And we open ourselves to new ideas through the affirmation of those ideas. Remember, we affirm not to make it so, but because it is already so. Constant, daily practice in this activity enhances our skill with it until we have finally overcome our old ideas enough to leave the land of Egypt and pass over. Move freely into the promised land, higher consciousness. So as we celebrate this Easter season, let's remember to explore the metaphysical meaning of some of these biblical stories so that we can achieve our own personal Passover. Namaste. Ms. Carey?